Hey out there Bulbatube fans, it's Eric here, ready to bring you 10 plus things you probably didn't notice from Generation 1 onward. These things are including the GS Ball being in Generation 1, Mr. Mime having a cigarette in its mouth, and Voltorb wearing Cubone Skull as a diaper. Let's get to it. Did you ever notice that in the artwork for Generation 1 that the GS Ball existed? Yeah. It was on the back of our favorite protagonist, Red. The concept for the GS Ball existing in Generation 1 is not that profound at all when you think about the fact that Generation 1 was originally supposed to include Generation 2. We know this from all the beta monsters that have been released. What I'm trying to say is that Generation 1 and 2 was meant to be one big game, but they scaled it back in order to meet demands of release dates. And since we're talking about Pokeballs, why don't we talk about our favorite Pokeball, Voltorb. Voltorb, which is the ball Pokemon, was hinted at being a Pokeball all the way since back in Generation 1. Walking around in Generation 1, there was no way to distinguish between a Voltorb and a Pokeball, and sometimes you learn the hard way. Its Generation 2 Dex entry supports it being a Pokeball. Listen to this.
It was discovered when Pokeballs were introduced. It is said that there is some connection.
Pokemon Ruby and Sapphire also added more to their Dex entries by giving a much more in-depth look for what could possibly be the reasoning behind Voltorb's existence.
Voltorb was first sighted at companies that manufactured Pokeballs. The link between the sightings and the fact that this Pokemon looks very similar to a Pokeball remains a mystery. It is rumored that it was first created when a Pokeball was exposed to a powerful pulse of energy.
To further exemplify the point of Voltorb and Electrode being based off of Pokeballs, what color is a shiny Voltorb? Blue and white. But what does that have to do with anything you're asking? Well, I present to you the Great Ball. One could easily try to debunk this with something like, but Bulbabro, there's no doohickey thing like the Pokeball on Voltorb or Electrode. And while that is true, you have to think about the origins of the Pokeball. The Pokeball that we see today is the finalized version, but the original prototype and what Pokeballs are based off of is something entirely different. If we look at the origins of pocket monsters, which is capsule monsters, we would see that they actually come from capsules that are called Gachapan. Gachapan? They are spherical containers in which little creatures hide. Voltorb is a corrupt Pokeball. A prototype Pokeball. Oh, we're not done with balls yet, my friends. No. We're going balls deep with this one. Did you ever notice that there is a discrepancy on how Pokeballs open? In all iterations of the anime and the concept art, the Pokeball opens a very certain way. The button is attached to the top of the ball, which is the red part, and the lip, where the latch connects, is the bottom white part. However, for some weird reason on the back of the trading cards in Japan, it is reversed. The original Mr. Mime from Generation 1 has a cigarette in its mouth. But Bulbabro, they would never let cigarettes be inside of a children's game. You're right. And they would never make any references to violence or death or alcohol either, would they? No, wait. They did that. They do that. And they do have cigarettes in the game. If you see here, these fishermen have been censored to remove the cigarette from their mouths. Mr. Mime's cigarette is most likely paying homage to its inspiration and creation, the mime named Marcel. Marcel, je ne parle pas français. Heck, even in Generation 1, the Mr. Mime you could get from a trade, what was his nickname? Marcel. In the original artwork for Kadabra, it looks like it only has 3 fingers and it has some sort of stub in the middle. I thought this was just a one-off, no pun intended, but it turns out that this exact iteration is the same one that appears on its first trading card. But then the deeper I looked, it seems as though earlier artwork of Kadabra makes it look like its fingers are much more compact. The earlier artwork of Kadabra later got an upgrade which kind of took away that idea of it being an actual missing finger. If anyone has any more information or speculation on this, I'm dying to know. There was a slight change in the categorization of Pokemon. They went from being species of Pokemon to categories, which kind of makes sense, but kind of doesn't. So if you look at the balloon Pokemon, it includes a variation of Pokemon, including Jigglypuff, Wigglytuff, an actual balloon, and Quillfish. To say that these are all the same species would be a misrepresentation of taxonomy. So for them to say categories makes a lot more sense. But I will personally always call them species. Despite all this hoo-ha, Oddish is given the name Odious Wondrous. I really wish to explore more of this because I think the names of Pokemon species is pretty cool. Did you know that there were only 10 colors in the Pokedex? That's right, there are red, blue, yellow, green, brown, purple, gray, pink, white, and black.
Mr. Black.
Which those last two, I guess you could argue, are more shades than they are colors. The problem with this is that a lot of the orange Pokemon end up being red. Let's take a look at Arcanine, for instance. What color would you think he belongs into the Pokedex? If you said red, you're wrong. He's brown. And then if you want to look at another example, look at Swirlix. What color would you think Swirlix would be? If you said pink or purple, you're wrong. It's white. Kind of like eating spider webs. That's pretty cool. And then there's Pokemon like Pelipper, which happen to be yellow, etc., etc. It's just very random at best. And last but not least is the Voltorb wearing a Cubone as a diaper. My god, not a whole Cubone, that'd be weird. A Voltorb wearing a Cubone's skull as a diaper. Why is that somehow less weird? This is an actual fact. I'm not even joking. In fact, I made an in-depth video about exactly that, and I invite you to watch it and be amazed at how in-depth and creepy this is. It is astounding. And which makes me wonder how tight and sealable is a skull diaper. I hope personally to never have to find out. So tell me, did you know all these facts? Did any of them surprise you? I would say if any of you think that you knew all these facts, that you're lying to yourself and others. And if you actually did know them, then you're a super fan, and I applaud that. This has been Eric, and we'll see you with more videos later days.